Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Worth It Then, Worth It Now, an ongoing side project I run here on this channel where I look at games from yesteryear, basically 10 years plus removed, and I line them up with a sale where possible. And today we're looking at the big dog, none other than XCOM Enemy Unknown. According to this release on 12th of October 2012, I feel like I played it on console in 2011. Anyway, I can't be sure. I don't have it in front of me. Funnily enough, XCOM 2, the sequel to this, and widely regarded as probably the best game in this space, is also on sale, and it's kind of its 10-year celebration anniversary. I ended up making a video on this instead since I actually looked at XCOM 2 a couple of months back, and that video still does quite well, so you can always check that out. But today we'll look at the original and the best, at least the original in the sense of the modern revisiting, remaking of this series, and what really catapulted this new age version of turn-based strategy mixed with base management into a more mainstream friendly space. So originally, UFO Defense, XCOM, they had multiple names and there were multiple games going back like 20 years. That's a little bit beyond. I think I played the third one on a demo disc when I was a kid. And while they are classics in the genre, in the space, they are ultimately lost to time for a lot of people, and probably safe to say obscure. This is where my heart is, and the entire subgenre, or anything that spins off of this, which is to say, yes, space management, turn-based strategy, UFO invasion-themed defenses. Terra Invicta, very high profile, came out this year. While it's different and doesn't have the turn-based strategy element, it still, ticks that box, it whets that appetite. Even Menace we covered like this week, it's sort of in that same space to a point. A lot of it started here with this game. And it is on sale as promised. I think it's going for like $5, something like that. You can get the DLCs, which are all really good, little story packs, Slingshot or whatever it's called with the Yakuza dude, and Enemy Unknown is the name of this game, but Enemy Within is essentially a full game overhaul, and some will argue the definitive way to play this. I would counter and say, if you haven't played this before, or it's been 10 years, go back and play Vanilla first, and then play Enemy Within. Same sort of goes for XCOM 2. The War of the Chosen expansion kind of is a must-have. It changes so much of it, but there's probably still value in going vanilla with it. Anyway, if you pick up with this series and its ilk, you're probably going to be out of pocket $10 total, and yet you'll have enough game to play for the next 12 months. So I picked this up, booted it up from the start in vanilla mode. No DLC, no nothing, and my god, the nostalgia just flows over me. I've obviously just ducked back in for a bit of B-roll, starting a new campaign, but I feel like I might actually put some more into it this weekend. I've put so much into XCOM 2 because that is the big dog these days. I forgot some of the nuance that was unique to this one. For example, the Sky Ranger component, dispatching and intercepting, shooting down aircraft with your aircraft, which is a holdover from the original series and something that's actually explored quite a bit in Xenonauts 1 and 2. Another banger in the series. I'm just coming up with recommendations left, right, and center. You should check out all of these things that I'm mentioning. But it was kind of cool and novel watching the almost proto-idle mechanic combat where you're plane will chase down the UFO and you just watch it take shots and they shoot at each other and their health bars tick down. You can abandon it at any time to save your vehicle, or you can risk it, or you can even build and upgrade special bonuses to increase aim, that sort of thing. It's cool, man. I kind of forgot about this being a thing. So going back to the drawing board and assuming you don't know anything about this, or you may even only know XCOM 2, which in a way kind of poisons the well, because XCOM 2 was a big pivot. 20 years later, canonically, humanity lost the invasion and you're fighting a guerrilla resurgence uprising decades after the initial invasion defeat. In this, it is 0 Day, where the aliens are here, and you run XCOM, this organization designed to respond to this problem across the globe. And a big part of it is kind of shepherding and trying your best to spread thin and protect all the different nations around the world. You want to launch satellites above them, the different countries, and you get enough of them together in the same continent, you'll actually get a pretty powerful set bonus. But getting that infrastructure up is fed by a feedback loop, actually, of each faction giving you funding each month. So you have to kind of work with this rhythm of running out of money and waiting for it to top back up. At the same time, if you don't protect the nations as they're attacked, and often it'll be 3 attacks at once and you got to pick one and the other 2, panic level will rise. But if you let the panic level get too high, they will withdraw from the council funding altogether, no backsies, and you lose enough of those, you'll actually lose the game. So the end game condition is very different. And so here are you trying your best to put these satellites up which create coverage, but they also create funding to you. But in a way, because you have more coverage and more area to protect, it starts spreading you even thinner with the requirement for more interceptors to patrol this space, and then you're in an arms race. And this is all not to even mention the actual core turn-based strategy component. So you'll scan for activity on the world map and you'll be called out to respond with a QRF force of 4 soldiers, but that can be increased later. They have a rudimentary XP tree, which, is interesting and varied enough that 2 different gunner troopers, or whatever they're called, snipers, let's say, right? They could have actually wildly different builds, even though this game was, I don't want to say dumbed down, but part of its launch was being thumbstick friendly on Xbox. Like I said, I played a shitload of it on console originally. And so you move through and you encounter little cells of enemies, and it's very lethal, man. You got to maneuver and try and leverage cover, but it doesn't take more than 1 or 2 hits to kill one of your dudes. Generally speaking, if they get an angle on you, there's a good chance they'll hit a critical and one tap you guys, especially in the early going. So getting out of that embryonic period where all your dudes are rookies with basic kit and then working to kill guys, do research, build buildings in your ant farm base, level up. This is where it all began. And it's still so well balanced, if only because the game has pretty singular vision and it's not that complex. Like, there is a complexity, but comparing it to the contemporaries, if you're going to release your own XCOM-like game, what are you going to bring to the table? And honestly, the answer for most people, most developers, is more complexity, more mechanics, more. And as much as I think XCOM 2 is a very well realized, brilliant project, there is something in my heart of hearts that will probably defer to vanilla this if you really held my feet to the fire, because in its narrow scope, the mechanics are more refined. Not so much simplified, but there's not a lot of room for peripheral junk or rubbish or mechanics that don't quite get the love that they deserve. Anyway, what an absolute treat it is to be able to do this for a job, right? And actually go back and look at these great games. And, maybe I've ticked something in your mind that you forgot about this game altogether, or maybe you didn't even know it and you're just enjoying that I keep giving all these banger recommendations. This is it. This is the drop everything and give it a go and lock out your weekend. Get invested in your little troopers, watch them grow, watch them die, mourn, fight back the alien invasion, and just enjoy a simpler yet refined graphical style. The narrative's there, but it's enough. It's not overwhelming. And just something so mechanically sound that, controversial, I'll say it, you probably didn't need a sequel to this game. It is so timelessly excellent as it is anyway. You could play this and just be happy and not even know about XCOM 2. But then, of course, you could play XCOM 2 and recognize that it's kind of better than this game in every way, which is impossible to even believe in the first instance. Anyway, XCOM, Enemy Unknown. An absolute banger, classic. It's on sale. There's no excuse not to pick it up and give it a go if you haven't before. But we'll leave it there before I just go circular in my gushing. So I reckon we'll leave it there, and I'll catch you on the next one.